Ada Vance felt the air in the conference room growing thicker by the minute. She sat at the long, dark oak table, her tablet in front of her, diligently recording every word Silas Kincaid said. The CEO spoke in a measured tone, placing clear emphasis on every phrase, as if planning how his words would look in the meeting minutes beforehand. "Shipments must be approved by the 15th, he announced, looking around at those present. "No delays." "Ada, make a note of that as a separate item." She nodded, but her fingers suddenly felt heavy. The keys on her tablet seemed to drift away, and the letters swam before her eyes. Ada tried to focus, but the sensation only intensified. A pounding started in her temples, and a strange pressure appeared in her chest, as if someone had placed a heavy stone on her ribs and was slowly pressing down. "This will pass," she thought. "I just haven't slept enough." The last 2 weeks had been exhausting. The quarterly report, negotiations with new partners, endless calls and approvals. Ada was used to the workload. Working as the executive assistant to the director of a major logistics company required total dedication. Silas Kincaid was a demanding leader, but fair. He valued her punctuality, her ability to anticipate his needs, and her capacity to keep dozens of processes under control simultaneously. In 3 years at the company, Ada had become an irreplaceable link. She knew all the intricacies of the document flow, remembered the names of key clients, and managed to coordinate the work of several departments at once. Colleagues respected her for her professionalism and the calm with which she resolved even the most tangled situations. But today, something was wrong. She looked up at Silas. He continued speaking, gesturing with his hand. "Iris, you need to get human resources involved in the staffing expansion. We will need 2 additional client relations managers, preferably with experience in international logistics." Iris Kincaid, the HR director and Silas's sister, was writing something in her notebook. Her face remained impassive and businesslike. Ada had always admired her composure. Iris knew how to keep her distance even in the most tense situations. 50 years old, a spotless reputation, a sharp suit, and a neat hairstyle. She was the embodiment of order and discipline. Suddenly the room tilted. Ada pressed herself sharply against the back of her chair, trying to keep her balance. Her heart began to beat in a frenzied rhythm. Her breathing quickened, becoming shallow, as if there wasn't enough air in her lungs. Her forehead was covered in a cold sweat against her dark skin, and dark circles swam before her eyes. "Ada, can you hear me?" Silas's voice sounded as if it were coming from far away. She raised her head, forcing herself to smile. "Yes, of course. I apologize. It is just a little hot. Maybe open a window?" "No, thank you," Ada said. "I had better step out for a minute and get some fresh air. I will be right back." Ada rose from the table, trying to move confidently, but her legs treacherously buckled. She felt the gazes of her colleagues on her, concerned, curious, sympathetic. Stepping out of the conference room, she closed the door behind her and leaned against the corridor wall. The cold surface was soothing, but not for long. Her vision darkened, and her hands trembled even more violently. "I need to go outside," she decided. "The air will make it better." Ada walked past her workspace, a neat corner desk with 2 monitors, stacks of folders, and a pot of violets she diligently watered on schedule. She grabbed her phone and purse from the desk, threw a light cardigan over her shoulders, and headed for the elevator. The receptionist, a young woman named Sierra, called out to her. "Miss Vance, are you okay? Should I get you some water?" "Thanks, Sierra, no need. Just stepping out for 5 minutes." She pressed the elevator button, and a few seconds later, the doors slid open soundlessly. The mirrored walls of the cabin reflected her pale face with beads of sweat on her forehead. Ada did not recognize herself. Usually, she looked pulled together and groomed, but now she looked sick and exhausted. Descending to the first floor, Ada walked out of the business center. The April air hit her face with a light breeze, bringing with it the scent of blooming buds, but this brought no relief. On the contrary, the weakness intensified. Her legs stopped obeying her, everything swam before her eyes, and she barely made it to the nearest bench situated at the entrance to a small plaza next to the building. Ada sank onto the wooden seat, closing her eyes. Her heart continued to pound, as if it wanted to burst out of her chest. She tried to breathe deeper, but every inhale came with effort. Her ears rang, and the world spun before her eyes. Somewhere in the distance, she could hear the voices of passers-by, the noise of cars, someone's laughter. But all of this seemed unreal, as if it were happening in another dimension. What is happening to me? She opened her eyelids slightly and saw the blurry outline of a person leaning over her. It was an elderly man, 70-something, in a simple gray jacket and a knit cap. His wrinkled face expressed concern, and his hands, strong despite his age, were reaching for her wrist. "What are you doing?" Ada jerked her hand back sharply, frightened. "That is a gift from my husband." The man did not back away. He looked at her intently, almost studying her, and spoke quietly. "Are you feeling sick because of this bracelet? Look here." Ada looked down at her wrist in confusion. There gleamed a thin metal bracelet that Victor had given her 3 months ago, an elegant chain with small magnetic inserts which, as he explained, were supposed to improve blood circulation and support heart function. The bracelet was expensive. Victor had ordered it through some acquaintance, assuring her that it was not just jewelry, but a real medical device. "You wear this constantly," the old man continued. "Are you not allowed to? How do you know?" Ada's voice trembled. "Who are you anyway? Why did you try to take off my bracelet?" The man straightened up, pulling a worn identification card in a dark red cover from his pocket. "Arthur P. Vaughn. I am a doctor. Or rather, I was a doctor before I retired. I worked as a cardiologist for 40 years at Mercy General Hospital, and I saw quite a few cases where such trinkets cause more harm than good." Ada struggled to focus her gaze on the document. The old physician's ID, issued back in the 90s, indeed confirmed his words. A photograph of a younger man with a serious gaze, a stamp, and the signature of the chief of staff. "But my husband said the bracelet helps," she objected weakly. "He would not—" Her voice wavered and cut off. Arthur shook his head, sitting down next to her on the bench. "Listen, young lady. I do not know who your husband is, or what he told you, but I see your condition. You can barely breathe. You are pale as a sheet. Your hands are shaking. This is not just fatigue. Take off the bracelet for at least an hour and feel the difference." Ada hesitated. Victor always insisted she wear the bracelet without taking it off. He said the effect was achieved only through constant use. Every morning he checked if she had put it on, and got upset if he noticed she had forgotten. Once, she took the bracelet off before a shower and forgot to put it back on. Victor noticed only in the evening and got very agitated, spending nearly an hour explaining to her how important it was to wear the bracelet constantly. "I do not know," she mumbled. "My husband said I must not take it off." The man sighed. "Okay, then let us look at it this way. How long have you been wearing it?" 3 months, since about the middle of January. "And when did the episode start? Like the one right now?" Ada thought about it. The first time she felt sick was about 2 weeks after Victor gave her the gift. She had chalked it up to stress at work back then. Preparations for the annual audit were just beginning, and all departments were working in crunch mode. Then the episodes repeated more often, once a week, then twice, then almost every day. She hadn't given them much significance, numbing the headaches with pills and continuing to work. "About 2 weeks later," she answered quietly, "rarely at first, then more often." "You see," Arthur nodded. "Coincidence? I do not think so. These magnetic bracelets are a controversial thing. For some they are harmless, but for others they can be contraindicated, especially if a person has a tendency toward arrhythmia or blood pressure spikes. Do you have any heart problems?" Ada felt everything inside her tighten. She remembered how a year ago she underwent a checkup and the doctor noted mild tachycardia. "Nothing serious," they said then. "Just need to watch your routine and avoid overexertion." Victor knew about this. He was there at the appointment, holding her hand, calming her down. "Yes," she admitted. "I have slight tachycardia." The man frowned. "Did you tell your husband about this?" "Of course. He was with me at the doctor's." "And he still bought you a magnetic bracelet?" Disbelief sounded in Arthur's voice. "That is strange, to say the least. Any doctor will tell you that with heart rhythm disorders, such things must be used with great caution, or better yet, not used at all." Ada fell silent, not knowing what to answer. Her thoughts were tangled, and Victor's voice rang in her head. "I worry about you. This bracelet will help. Trust me." The phone in her pocket vibrated. Ada took it out with a trembling hand and saw her husband's name on the screen. "Victor? Hello?" Her voice sounded alarmed. "Why aren't you at work?" Irritation was audible in his tone. "Silas called, said you stepped out and didn't come back. What happened? Where are you?" "I felt sick. I went out to breathe. I am sitting on a bench by the office." "Again?" Victor sighed with unconcealed dissatisfaction. "Did you take the bracelet off?" Ada looked at her wrist, where the thin chain still gleamed against her dark skin. "No." "Then what is the matter? You know it helps you. You are probably just overworked. Asked to leave work, go home, rest. I will finish early, pick up groceries, and make dinner." Okay, she answered mechanically and hung up. Arthur looked at her with sympathy. "That was him?" Ada nodded. "Listen to my advice. Go to a clinic. Get a checkup today and find out the truth. And take the bracelet off at least for a while until you get the results. See how you feel without it." She slowly undid the clasp and took off the bracelet. The metal was warm from her skin, pleasantly heavy. Strange, but within a minute her breathing became a little more even and the pressure in her chest eased. Was it a placebo effect or real relief? Ada didn't know, but the difference was palpable. "Thank you," she whispered, hiding the bracelet in her blazer pocket. "Thank you very much." The man smiled gently, paternally. "Take care of yourself, young lady. Health is the only thing that truly belongs to you. Do not let anyone manage it for you, even the closest people." He got up from the bench, adjusted his cap, and slowly walked away down the path, leaving Ada alone. She sat for a few more minutes, feeling her strength gradually returning. Her thoughts were racing, but one pushed through the fog with particular persistence. What if Victor actually knew? No, that was absurd. Her husband loved her. He took care of her. He couldn't... But then why did he insist on the bracelet? Why did he get angry when she forgot to put it on? Why did he never agree when she suggested going to the doctor to check her heart? Ada stood up from the bench, feeling much better. Her head had cleared, her heart was beating steadily. She took out her phone and dialed Silas Kincaid's number. "Ada!" His voice sounded concerned. "How are you feeling?" "Better, thank you. Mr. Kincaid, I apologize for interrupting the meeting. May I take the rest of the day off? I need to see a doctor." Of course. Take care of your health. Everything else can wait." She hung up and slowly walked to the parking lot where she had left her car. The doctor's words echoed in her head. "Do not let anyone manage your health." Ada sat in her car, hands on the steering wheel, staring into the void. The engine was off. Silence surrounded her, broken only by the distant noise of the avenue. The bracelet lay in her blazer pocket, and she kept catching herself mechanically reaching for her wrist, checking if it was there. Habit. Over 3 months, it had become a reflex to touch the cool metal, as if it were a part of her. Victor had accustomed her to this unnoticed, repeating day after day. "Don't forget to put on the bracelet. It's important for your health." She remembered that January evening when he gave her the gift. They were sitting in the kitchen after dinner. The apartment smelled of the apple pie Ada had baked, especially for his return from a business trip. Victor took a small velvet box from his pocket and handed it to her with a smile. "Open it." Inside on a white cushion lay the elegant bracelet, a thin chain with neat magnetic inserts, each the size of a grain of rice. It shimmered in the light of the chandelier, looking expensive and stylish. "This is for you," Victor said, taking her hand. I have wanted to find something special for a long time. You know, after that visit to the cardiologist, I kept worrying. You work so much, you get nervous, and your heart. I found a specialist who deals with these devices. This isn't just jewelry. The magnetic field helps improve circulation, stabilizes the rhythm. Wear it constantly, and you will feel better. Ada was touched then. Victor was always attentive, caring. He remembered her health better than she did herself. She hugged him, thanked him, and he fastened the bracelet on her wrist himself. Now don't take it off. The effect only comes with constant wear. Promise? I promise. And she kept her promise. For 3 months she hadn't parted with the bracelet for a minute. Even at night, it stayed on her arm. Victor monitored it. Every morning, seeing her off to work, he kissed her and made sure to check. Bracelet on? Yes. Good girl. I worry about you so much. At first it seemed touching, then habitual. And now, sitting in the car with a bare wrist, Ada suddenly realized it was strange. Why did he insist so much? Why did he get angry if she forgot to put the bracelet on even once? Why did he never suggest going to the doctor again to check if the device was helping? She took out her phone and dialed the number of the private clinic where she had her checkup a year ago. The receptionist answered on the 3rd ring. Heartland Cardiology Center. How can I help you? Hello, this is Ada Vance. I had a checkup with you a year ago. Can I make an appointment with a cardiologist? Preferably today if there is availability. Let me check. Yes, we have an opening at 4:30. Does that work for you? Perfect. Thank you. Ada looked at her watch. It was only 11:30. More than 4 hours remained until the appointment. She didn't want to go home. Victor probably already knew she had left work early and would be questioning her, calling, worrying, and she wasn't ready for a conversation yet. She needed time to think. She started the car and drove toward the waterfront. There by the river was a quiet cafe where she sometimes liked to sit alone with a book or just look at the water. Parking the car, Ada entered the small space, ordered a peppermint tea, and settled at a table by the window. The river flowed slowly, reflecting the gray April sky. On the opposite bank, the roofs of old houses were visible. Somewhere in the distance, clouds drifted by. Ada cupped the warm mug in her palms and closed her eyes, letting her thoughts flow freely. When did the deterioration begin? Exactly 2 weeks after she put on the bracelet. First, just weakness in the mornings, then dizziness, rapid heartbeat. She blamed it on work, lack of sleep, spring vitamin deficiency. Victor supported this version. You work too much. You need rest. But when she suggested taking a vacation and going somewhere, he found reasons to postpone the trip. Now isn't the best time. Let's do it in the summer or fall. When she said she wanted to go to the cardiologist again, he talked her out of it. Why waste money? You're wearing the bracelet. It helps you. Just get some proper rest. And when she once took the bracelet off, Victor caused almost a scandal. Do you realize you are risking your health? I didn't spend that much money for nothing. This is a medical device, not a toy. You must wear it constantly. Back then, Ada was frightened by his anger and apologized. She thought he was just worried. Now she was starting to see the picture differently. Her phone vibrated. A message from Victor. I finished early. Driving home now. Where are you? How do you feel? Ada looked at the screen and slowly typed a reply. Decided to take a walk. Need to breathe. Will be there soon. Okay, I am worried. Call when you are driving home. Love you. She put the phone on the table and sighed. Love you. He said that every day. He took care of her, cooked dinner, asked about her day, gave gifts. He was the perfect husband. Why then was she getting increasingly anxious? Ada remembered how they met 2.5 years ago. She had just started working as the executive assistant, and at one of the corporate events, she was introduced to Victor, a successful sales manager from a partner company. He was 9 years older than her. Confident, charming, he courted her beautifully, flowers, restaurants, compliments. 6 months later, he proposed. Ada was happy. It seemed to her that she had found the one person with whom she could build a family. Victor was reliable, stable. He solved all domestic problems, took on financial questions, planned their joint future. She felt protected. But gradually, his care began to turn into control. At first, it was unnoticeable. He asked who she was talking to at work, was interested in where she went after work, asked her to let him know when she left the office and when she would arrive home. All this was served with a sauce of care. "I just worry. You never know what might happen." Ada didn't object. It seemed normal to her that a husband worried about his wife. But over time, the control intensified. Victor didn't like it when she stayed late at work. He frowned with displeasure if she planned to meet girlfriends. He got irritated when she spent too much time on her phone. And then the bracelet appeared, and the episodes. Ada looked at her wrist. Could he really have known that the bracelet was dangerous for her health? No, that's absurd. He loves her. But if he loves her, why doesn't he want her to get checked? Why does he insist on wearing the bracelet even though he sees she is getting worse? The phone vibrated again. A call. Victor. Ada pressed the green button. "Hello? Ada, where are you?" His voice sounded concerned. "I have been home for half an hour, and you are still not here. You said you would be there soon." "I am walking by the waterfront. I need to be alone." Pause. Then Victor spoke slowly with notes of irritation. "Alone. You felt sick, and you decided to walk alone. Ada, that is irresponsible. What if you feel sick again? Who will help you?" "I am already better." "Is the bracelet on you?" She gripped the phone tighter. "No." "Why?" Victor's voice rose. "Do you want the attack to happen again?" "Ada, I do not understand what is happening with you. I try to take care of you, and you ignore my requests." "Victor, I made an appointment with a cardiologist. Today at 4:30, I want to check if this bracelet is helping me." Another pause, longer this time. When Victor spoke, his tone had changed, becoming softer, almost affectionate. "Why do you need doctors? You know they only drain money. They will prescribe a bunch of unnecessary tests, assign a wagon load of pills, and what's the point? The bracelet is a proven remedy. Just put it back on and don't be nervous. Stress. That is what is harming you." "I'm going to the doctor anyway," Ada said firmly. "Okay," Victor sighed. "If it makes you calmer. But put the bracelet on for the day, please. For my sake." She looked at her blazer pocket where the ill-fated jewelry lay. "No, I want the doctor to see me without it, to compare the condition." "Ada," a threat sounded in his voice. "You aren't listening to me. This will end badly." "What exactly will end badly?" She felt everything inside her tense up. "Your health!" Victor almost shouted. "Without the bracelet, you will get even worse. I am telling you this as the person who takes care of you." Ada closed her eyes. The old doctor's words echoed in her head. "Do not let anyone manage your health." "Victor, I have to go. See you in the evening." She hung up without waiting for an answer and muted her phone. Her hands were shaking. Her heart beat fast, but not like in the morning. This was fear. Fear of what she was beginning to understand. Her husband wasn't taking care of her. He was controlling her, and the bracelet was a tool of that control. Ada finished her cold tea and looked at her watch. Still 3 hours until the appointment. She took a notebook and pen from her purse, opened a clean page, and began to write. Everything she remembered, all the oddities that previously seemed like trifles. January. Gave the bracelet, insisted I wear it constantly. End of January. First dizzy spell. February. Attacks became more frequent. Victor talked me out of visiting the doctor. March. Condition worsened. Victor got angry when I took the bracelet off. April. Today, old doctor said the bracelet is harmful. She reread what she had written and added one more line. Victor knew about my tachycardia. He was with me at the cardiologist's. The picture was becoming clearer and more terrifying. The phone vibrated silently on the table. Victor was writing message after message. Ada didn't read them. She needed to wait for the appointment, learn the truth. And then she would decide what to do next. She got up from the table, paid, and walked outside. The air was fresh, the sky beginning to clear. Sunbeams broke through the clouds. Ada walked slowly along the waterfront, feeling that with every step it became easier to breathe. Without the bracelet on her wrist, for the first time in 3 months, she felt free. At 3:30, Ada was at the medical center, a modern building of glass and concrete downtown. The lobby smelled of antiseptic and freshly brewed coffee. Behind the reception desk sat the same girl who had booked her on the phone. "Ada Vance," she clarified. "Yes, room 307, 3rd floor. Dr. Mercer is waiting." Ada took the elevator up, found the right office, and knocked. Sitting at the desk was a woman in her 40s in a white coat with short hair and an attentive gaze. She picked up Ada's medical file. "Hello, Ms. Vance. Come in. Have a seat. What is bothering you?" Ada sat in the soft chair opposite the doctor and began to tell her everything. About the bracelet, the attacks, the words of the old doctor, about how her husband insisted on constantly wearing the jewelry. Dr. Mercer listened carefully, asking clarifying questions from time to time. "Show me the bracelet," she asked. Ada took it out of her pocket and placed it on the table. The doctor took the item, turned it in her hands, held it up to the light. "The magnetic inserts are quite strong, judging by the weight. Do you have a history of tachycardia?" "Yes, diagnosed a year ago." "Who recommended you wear this?" "My husband. He said it would help." Dr. Mercer shook her head. "Ms. Vance, with tachycardia, such items can be dangerous. The magnetic field can affect heart rhythm unpredictably. For a healthy person, it might be harmless. But with rhythm disorders, it is strictly contraindicated. We will do an EKG right now, check your condition, and I will give a report." Ada nodded, feeling a cold certainty growing inside. Victor knew. He couldn't not know. The electrocardiograph hummed quietly, spitting out a long strip with jagged lines. Ada lay on the couch, staring at the white ceiling, trying to breathe evenly. The cold sensors on her chest felt heavy, like anchors holding her in place. Dr. Mercer leaned over the machine, studying the readings, and her face gradually became more serious. "You can get dressed," she said finally. Ada sat up, removed the sensors, and pulled on her blouse. Her hands were still slightly shaking, not from weakness, but from internal tension. She was afraid to hear the diagnosis and simultaneously craved the truth. Dr. Mercer returned to the desk, placed the EKG printout in front of her, and studied it silently for a few seconds. Then she looked up. "Ms. Vance, right now your rhythm is within normal limits. Mild tachycardia is present, but it is controlled. Tell me, how long have you not been wearing the bracelet since this morning?" "About 5 hours, maybe." "And how do you feel?" Ada thought. The dizziness had passed back at the waterfront. The chest pressure was gone. She felt tired, but it was a normal tiredness, not the exhausting weakness of recent weeks. "Better," she admitted. "Much better." The doctor nodded. "I thought so. You see, magnetic bracelets are a pseudo-medical device. Their effectiveness isn't proven, and in certain conditions, they can cause harm. You have tachycardia, that is, a tendency toward a rapid heartbeat. The magnetic field can provoke additional rhythm disturbances, cause dizziness, weakness, shortness of breath. Everything you described." "So the bracelet is contraindicated for me." Ada's voice sounded quiet. "Absolutely. Moreover, I recommend you never wear such things again. I will give you a referral for additional tests, a 24-hour Holter monitor, an echocardiogram. We need to check if prolonged wearing of the bracelet caused any serious damage." Ada felt everything go cold inside. Serious damage. For 3 months she had worn something that was slowly destroying her health, and Victor knew about it. He couldn't not know. "Doctor," she frowned, "who could have recommended such a bracelet?" "My husband said he bought it from a specialist." Dr. Mercer thought for a moment. A specialist in quotation marks. The internet is full of such items. They are sold as medical devices. Usually it is outright quackery. Either your husband simply did not look into it and fell for a scam, or— She didn't finish, but Ada understood. Or he knew what he was doing. "Thank you," She exhaled. "I will undergo all the examinations." "Good. Here is the referral. We can put the Holter on tomorrow morning. You will wear it for 24 hours. We will do the echo the day after tomorrow. And for now, here is your report." The doctor handed her a sheet of paper with the clinic's stamp. Ada took it and read. Patient, Vance A., age 31. Diagnosis, sinus tachycardia. Wearing magnetic items is strictly contraindicated due to the risk of exacerbating heart rhythm disorders. Additional examination required. She folded the paper and put it in her purse. It was a document. Official confirmation that the bracelet was harming her. Proof. "Ms. Vance," Dr. Mercer looked at her intently. "Forgive the personal question, but who exactly insisted on wearing the bracelet?" "My husband." Ada barely audibly pronounced the word. "He knew about your diagnosis?" "Yes, he was with me at the appointment a year ago." The doctor was silent for a few seconds, then said quietly, "You understand, I do not have the right to interfere in your personal life, but as a doctor, I am obliged to warn you. If someone consciously gives you something that harms your health, knowing about the contraindications, this is very serious. Perhaps you should consult not only a cardiologist, but also a psychologist or a lawyer." Ada nodded, finding no words. She stood up, thanked the doctor, and left the office. It was quiet in the corridor. Ada sat on a bench, took out her phone, and turned on the sound. The screen exploded with notifications. 17 missed calls from Victor, 23 messages. She opened the chat and began to read. "Where are you? Why aren't you answering, Ada? I am worried. Call immediately. This isn't serious. I am your husband. I have a right to know where you are. If you are at the doctor's, at least write, 'I am going crazy.' Are you ignoring me? After everything I do for you? Fine, be silent, but I will remember this." The last message was sent 10 minutes ago. Ada exhaled and typed a short reply. "Was at the cardiologist, driving home. We need to talk." The answer came instantly. "Finally, I am waiting." Ada put the phone away and walked out of the clinic. She knew that the conversation she feared was about to happen, but she couldn't postpone it any longer. Too many questions, and she had a right to answers. She reached home, went up to the 5th floor, and opened the door with her key. The apartment smelled of fried onions and garlic. Victor was making dinner just as he promised. She took off her shoes, walked into the living room, and saw him in the kitchen. He stood by the stove, stirring something in a skillet, and turned around hearing her steps. "Finally," he smiled, but the smile came out strained. "I thought you were not coming back at all." "Why shouldn't I have come back?" Ada remained standing in the kitchen doorway. Victor shrugged. "You are just acting so strange today, not answering calls, ignoring messages, like I am a stranger to you." "Victor, we need to have a serious talk." He turned off the stove and turned to her. "I am listening." Ada took the medical report from her purse and handed it to him. "Read it." Victor took the sheet, his eyes scanning the text, and his face slowly changed. First surprise, then irritation, then something resembling anger. "What is this nonsense?" He threw the paper on the table. "Some female doctor decided the bracelet is harmful? On what grounds?" "On the grounds that I have tachycardia and magnetic items are contraindicated with this diagnosis," Ada answered firmly. "You knew that." "I didn't know anything." Victor raised his voice. "I bought you an expensive gift to help, and you are interrogating me. You were with me at the cardiologist's a year ago. You heard the diagnosis? You knew." Victor spun around sharply and slammed his fist on the table. "What do you think you are doing? You are accusing me of wanting to harm you? I am your husband. I take care of you. Care is not forcing me to wear something that destroys my health. It doesn't destroy it. Doctors don't understand. I read research articles. Magnet therapy helps. With tachycardia, it is contraindicated." Ada felt anger boiling inside her. And you know it. Why did you insist? Why did you get angry when I took the bracelet off? Why did you talk me out of seeing doctors? Victor stepped toward her, his face contorted. Because you don't know how to take care of yourself. Because without me, you won't cope. You work yourself to exhaustion, don't watch your health, forget to eat. I try to control you because you are incapable of it yourself. Control? Ada felt the word cut her ears. You want to control me? Yes, Victor shouted. And there is nothing wrong with that. I am your husband. I know better what you need. You don't know. She raised her voice too. You are not a doctor. You just want me to be weak and dependent on you. Victor fell silent. His breathing was heavy, hands clenched into fists. Then he exhaled and spoke quieter, almost affectionately. Ada, are you tired? You are nervous. Let's eat. We'll rest, and everything will be fine. I don't want to fight with you. I'm not tired. Ada shook her head. I just finally understood. You don't care about me. You control me. The bracelet is just a tool. You wanted me to feel sick so I would be afraid and depend on you. That is delirium. Victor turned away. You think too much. Doctors hammered all kinds of nonsense into your head. Ada took the bracelet from her pocket and placed it on the table. I will not wear this anymore. I will not listen to your orders. My health is my responsibility. Victor whipped around, grabbed the bracelet, and clenched it in his hand. You will regret this. Without me, you are lost. Who will help you when you get sick? Who will take care of you? I will take care of myself. Her voice trembled, but she held her ground. And if I need help, I will turn to doctors, to real doctors, not to a husband who slips me dangerous things. Victor stepped toward her, looming over her. You are ungrateful. I did so much for you. Married you, provide for you, take care of you, and you treat me like this? Ada stepped back. Care is not control. Love is not manipulation. You have no right to manage my health. I do, Victor barked. I am your wife, for now, Ada said quietly. A heavy silence hung in the air. Victor looked at her, and in his eyes, she saw something new. Not anger, not irritation, fear of losing control. What are you trying to say? He said slowly. I want to say that I need time to think. I need to be alone. Where do you think you're going? Victor's voice became harsh. To a friend's. For a few days. I need to sort out my feelings. She turned and walked to the bedroom. Victor followed on her heels. You aren't going anywhere. We will sort it out right now. Ada took a gym bag from the closet and started packing things. A few changes of underwear, jeans, a sweater, a toiletry bag. Her hands were shaking, but she forced herself to move. Victor stood in the doorway, blocking the exit. Ada, stop it. You aren't going anywhere. Move. She looked at him. No. Victor, I said, move. He didn't budge. Ada felt everything inside her clench with fear, but forced herself to take a step forward. Victor grabbed her arm. You will stay here. We will talk normally. Let me go. Her voice sounded quiet but firm. No. Ada yanked her arm away sharply, pushed him in the chest, and ran out of the bedroom. She grabbed the large bag and her purse with documents, car keys, and bolted for the exit. Victor caught up with her at the door, but she had already flung it open and leaped onto the landing. Ada, come back immediately! His scream echoed through the stairwell. She didn't look back, ran down the stairs, almost sprinting to her car, sat behind the wheel, and started the engine. Victor burst out of the building entrance, but she was already driving out of the courtyard. Only once she was on the avenue did Ada allow herself to exhale. Her hands were shaking. She stopped at the curb, turned on her hazards, and sat for a few minutes, trying to calm down and catch her breath. The phone vibrated. A message from Victor. You will regret this. Without me, you are nothing. Ada blocked his number, put the phone in her purse, and drove to the only person she could trust right now, Iris Kincaid. The HR director lived 20 minutes away in a quiet neighborhood with low-rise buildings. Ada called her on the way. "Iris, I apologize for bothering you in the evening. Can I come over? I need help." "Of course, Ada. Come over. I am home." When Ada pulled up to the house, Iris was already waiting for her on the porch. Seeing her red eyes and trembling hands, she hugged the young woman and led her into the house. "Tell me what happened." And Ada told her everything about the bracelet, the attacks, the doctor, the medical report, about Victor. Iris listened silently, nodding occasionally. When Ada finished, the HR director poured her some tea and said quietly, "You did the right thing by leaving. This is called domestic violence, Ada. Psychological. He controlled you, manipulated you, undermined your health. You need legal help and support. Tomorrow we will process a week of leave for you. For now, stay here. I have a guest room." Ada nodded, feeling tears welling up in her eyes. For the first time in 3 months, she felt safe. On Saturday, Ada woke up from bright light breaking through the light curtains. For a moment, she didn't realize where she was, then remembered. The guest room in Iris Kincaid's house. A simple, cozy room with white walls, wooden furniture, and the scent of lavender. On the nightstand stood a glass of water she hadn't finished the night before. She looked at her phone. 8:00 a.m., Friday. The screen showed 27 missed calls from an unknown number and 3 messages. Victor, of course. She had blocked his main number, so he was calling from another one. Ada opened the message. "Ada, this is foolishness. Come home. We will discuss everything calmly." "You cannot just leave like that. I am your husband. We have obligations to each other." "Fine. You want to play the silent game? Play. But remember, everything you have is thanks to me." The last message was sent at 6:00 a.m. Ada deleted the thread and blocked the new number. She didn't need his words, his manipulations, his attempts to regain control. There was a quiet knock at the door. "Ada, are you awake? Breakfast is ready." She got up, threw on a robe she had borrowed yesterday, and went out to the kitchen. Iris stood by the stove, flipping pancakes. Honey, sour cream, and fresh berries were already on the table. "Good morning." Ada sat at the table. "Good morning," Iris smiled. "How did you sleep?" "Better than in recent weeks." "That is good. Have some breakfast. While you eat, I will call Silas. We will process your leave officially." Ada nodded, pouring herself tea. She felt strange, simultaneously liberated and lost. Everything that seemed stable and reliable in her life had collapsed in one day. The husband she trusted turned out to be a manipulator. The home where she lived for 2 years was no longer a safe place. The future she planned had dissolved into thin air. Iris returned in 10 minutes. "Everything is settled. Silas will process leave for 2 weeks. He said health is more important and you should rest properly. And I also got the number of our family lawyer. Here, write it down. Her name is Eleanor Tate, a very competent woman." Ada saved the number in her phone. "Thank you. I do not know what I would do without you. Do not mention it. Just take care of yourself. And remember, you are not guilty of anything. What your husband did is abuse, psychological violence. You have every right to defend yourself." Ada silently nodded. The word abuse sounded unusual, almost foreign. It always seemed to her that violence was beatings, screaming, overt aggression. But what Victor did looked like care for a long time. He didn't hit her, didn't scream at her constantly, just controlled, manipulated, undermined her health. After breakfast, Ada called the lawyer. Eleanor Tate turned out to be a woman in her 50s with a confident, calm voice. They agreed to meet the next day. Ada spent the rest of the morning in the guest room, sorting through documents. Marriage certificate, bank statement, medical record. She made a list of what needed to be discussed with the lawyer, and with every line she understood, there was no way back. At lunch, Iris suggested a walk. They went out to a small park nearby, walking along the paths. The air was warm, smelling of spring and freshness. Ada breathed deeply, and it suddenly seemed to her that she had forgotten how to breathe freely. "You know," Iris began, "I was in a similar situation myself once, a long time ago, 20 years back. My ex-husband was also very caring. Too caring." Ada looked at her in surprise. "Are you serious?" "Absolutely. He controlled my every step, called 10 times a day, checked who I talked to, what I ate, where I went, said he worried, that he loved me, that I couldn't cope without him. And I believed it for 3 years, until I realized I was suffocating. And just like you, I left, packed my things and went to my sister's. He also called, wrote, begged me to return, promised to change. But I knew people like that don't change. They just learn to hide their need for control better. I filed for divorce. He resisted, but in the end it was all over. And you know what? For the first time I felt alive, real." Ada listened, and something warm spread inside her. She wasn't alone. She wasn't crazy. What was happening to her happened to others too, and there was a way out. "Did you regret it?" she asked quietly. "Not for a second. I only regretted not leaving sooner." They returned home toward evening. Ada felt tired but calm. She had dinner, took a shower, and went to bed early. A serious conversation with the lawyer lay ahead tomorrow. In the morning, Ada arrived at Eleanor Tate's office, a small space on the 3rd floor of a business center. The lawyer greeted her warmly, sat her at a table, and listened carefully to the whole story. Ada spoke, sometimes stumbling, sometimes pausing to gather her thoughts. She told about the bracelet, the attacks, the medical report, the control, the last fight. Eleanor took notes, asked clarifying questions, and when Ada finished, she put down her pen and looked her in the eyes. "Ada, what you just described is a classic case of psychological domestic abuse. Your husband used methods of control, manipulation, and undermining your health. You have a medical report confirming the harm from the bracelet. This is a crucial document." "What should I do next?" Ada's voice trembled. "First, ensure your safety. You are living with friends right now?" "Yes." "Good. Do not return home alone. If you need to pick up things, do it in the presence of witnesses or the police. Second, we are filing for divorce. Under state laws, you have the right to dissolve the marriage due to irreconcilable differences. Third, we document all contact attempts from his side, calls, messages, visits. All this might be needed if he starts threatening or stalking." Ada nodded, writing down the main points. "And how quickly can the divorce be processed if he does not agree?" "The process might drag on for several months. The court might give time for reconciliation, usually from 1 to 3 months. But considering the circumstances, psychological abuse, medical documents, we can expedite the process. The main thing is your firm stance." "I have decided firmly." Ada straightened up. "I will not go back to him." Eleanor smiled. "That is excellent. Then let's start preparing the documents. I will draft the petition now, you will sign it, and we will file in court next week. Meanwhile, avoid any contact with your husband. Do not answer calls. Do not meet him alone." They spent another hour discussing details: division of property, financial questions, spousal support. Ada had no children with Victor. The apartment was his before the marriage, but she had a right to a share of jointly acquired property. The car was hers, bought before the marriage. That simplified matters. When Ada left the office, her soul felt lighter. She had a plan, a clear, understandable plan of action. She was no longer flailing in the dark, trying to figure out what to do. Now she knew. The phone rang. Unknown number. Ada stopped by the car, hesitating, then answered anyway. "Hello? Ada, it is me." Victor's voice sounded tired, almost pitiful. "Please, don't hang up. I need to talk to you." She gripped the phone tighter. "We have nothing to talk about." "We do. I beg you, listen to me. I realized I was wrong. I really controlled you too much, but I did it out of fear of losing you. I love you so much, Ada. Please, let's meet, discuss everything calmly." "Victor, I am filing for divorce." Pause. A long, dragging pause. Then his voice changed, becoming harsh, cold. "Are you serious?" "Absolutely. You will regret this. Think it's so simple to leave me? I won't give you a divorce. I will fight to the end. You are my wife, and you will remain so. The law is on my side. I have the medical report. I have proof of your control. You cannot keep me." "Medical report." He laughed maliciously. "Some female doctor wrote a piece of paper. And you think that means something? I will find 10 doctors who will say the opposite. Do what you want. I am not afraid of you anymore." "Not afraid?" A threat sounded in his voice. "In vain. You forgot who I am. I can make it so you get fired from work. I can ruin your reputation. I can—" Ada hung up. Her hands were shaking. Her heart pounded, but not from weakness, from anger. She got in the car, took a deep breath, and drove back to Iris's. That evening, they sat in the kitchen drinking chamomile tea, and Ada recounted the conversation with Victor. Iris frowned. "He threatened you?" "Yes. That needs to be documented. Write down all his words while you remember. If he calls again, turn on the recording. A threat is already serious. We can go to the police." Ada nodded. She felt cornered, but simultaneously stronger than ever. Victor was trying to break her, scare her, return her under control. But she wouldn't give in. The next day, Ada went to the clinic to have the Holter monitor installed. They attached a small device to her chest that would record her heart function for 24 hours. The doctor explained this was needed to see the full picture and understand how badly her health had suffered from wearing the bracelet. Wearing the monitor wasn't very comfortable, but Ada tolerated it. She led a normal life, walked, read, helped Iris around the house, and all this time, the little device recorded every beat of her heart. A day later, she returned to the clinic, removed the monitor, and a few hours later received the results. Dr. Mercer invited her into the office and laid the printouts on the desk. "Ms. Vance," she began, "the results show that you indeed had episodes of rhythm disturbance, tachycardia, several extrasystoles, but overall the heart is normal. The main thing is you took the bracelet off in time. If you had continued wearing it for another month or two, the consequences could have been more serious." Ada exhaled. "So everything will be fine?" "Yes, provided you watch your health, avoid stress, and of course, never wear such items again. Here is your updated report. You can provide it to the lawyer." Ada took the document and thanked the doctor. Now she had one more piece of proof, official confirmation that the bracelet truly harmed her. In the evening, she met with Eleanor Tate and handed her the new report. The lawyer studied it and nodded with satisfaction. "Excellent. This strengthens our position. Now we have not just contraindications, but confirmation of actual harm. The petition is ready. Sign here and here. We file in court tomorrow." Ada signed the documents with a steady hand. She was taking a step after which there would be no return, and she was ready. The next morning, Eleanor called her. "The petition is filed. The court date will be set for next month. Victor will be served a summons." "Thank you." Ada felt relief. Now all that remained was to wait. The following days passed in strange calm. Victor didn't call or write anymore. Ada lived at Iris's, helped her with housework, read books, walked in the park. For the first time in a long time, she felt free. Silas Kincaid stopped by a couple of times, brought fruit, and asked about her health. He was delicate, didn't ask unnecessary questions, just let her know she wasn't alone. She had support. Ada appreciated it. She finally understood what real care meant, the kind that doesn't suffocate, doesn't control, doesn't demand. The kind that just exists, like a warm blanket on a cold evening. The court hearing was scheduled for May 10th, a warm spring day when the city was drowning in greenery. Ada woke up early, before the alarm, and lay looking at the ceiling of the guest room for a long time. Everything would be decided today. Today she would either gain freedom or not. She didn't want to think about the other option. Iris knocked on the door around 8 o'clock a.m. "Ada, breakfast is ready. You need to eat before court." She went down to the kitchen. Ada drank a cup of strong tea with honey and ate half a piece of toast, her stomach clenched with nervousness. "Everything will be fine. Iris placed a hand on her shoulder. "You have all the documents in order. The law is on your side. Just stay confident." Ada nodded, trying to believe these words. She arrived at the courthouse half an hour before the start. Eleanor Tate was already waiting for her at the entrance, holding a folder of documents. The lawyer was dressed impeccably. Her appearance inspired calm and confidence. "Ready?" she asked. "Yes." Ada nodded, though everything inside was trembling. They went through the metal detector, went up to the second floor, and sat on a bench in the corridor. "Victor hasn't arrived yet. Don't worry," Eleanor said quietly. "We have all documents in order. Medical reports, Iris's witness testimony, recordings of threats. The court will be on your side." Victor appeared in the corridor. He walked confidently in a severe black suit, a snow-white shirt, and a burgundy tie. With him was a lawyer, a middle-aged man with a cold, detached face and an expensive leather briefcase in his hand. Victor threw a brief glance at Ada, and she saw a mixture of anger and contempt in his eyes. He walked past without even saying hello and sat on the opposite side of the corridor. Ada turned away. Her heart beat steadily, without skips, without the bracelet, without fear, without pressure on her chest. She breathed freely. The courtroom door opened. The clerk invited them to enter. The room was small, with high ceilings and wood panels on the walls. They sat on different sides. Ada with the lawyer on the left, Victor with his lawyer on the right. The judge took her seat and opened the session. "Hearing the case regarding the dissolution of marriage between Victor Vance and Ada Vance," she announced in a clear voice. "Plaintiff, Ada Vance, please state the essence of the claim." Eleanor rose. "Your Honor, my client requests to dissolve the marriage due to the impossibility of further cohabitation. The marriage was concluded 2 years ago. There are no joint children. As grounds for divorce, we present the following evidence: medical report on harm to health caused by the defendant's actions, witness testimonies, recordings of threats from the defendant." She handed the judge the folder of documents. The judge began to study them, turning pages, occasionally making notes. Victor sat tensely. His lawyer whispered something in his ear, pointing at his paper. "Defendant, do you object to the dissolution of the marriage?" the judge asked, looking up at Victor. Victor stood up, straightening his shoulders. "I object, Your Honor. I believe my wife is acting under the influence of emotions and misunderstanding. I always took care of her, provided for the family, supported her in everything. All my actions were dictated exclusively by love and concern for her well-being. The bracelet referred to in the lawsuit was a gift intended to improve her health. I did not know about any contraindications." "Do you have proof that you did not know about the contraindications?" the judge clarified. Victor's lawyer rose, placing his hands on the table. "Your Honor, my client is not a medical professional and could not know about the subtleties of the interaction of magnetic items with heart pathologies. He purchased the bracelet guided by the seller's recommendations, who assured him of the item's safety. My client acted out of the best intentions, wishing to help his spouse." Eleanor immediately objected. "Your Honor, in the case materials, there is an extract from the plaintiff's medical record where the diagnosis of sinus tachycardia, made in April of last year, is documented. The defendant was present at the appointment with the cardiologist, which is confirmed by the entry in the reception log of the Heartland Cardiology Center. He knew about the diagnosis. Moreover, after the appearance of symptoms of deteriorating health in the plaintiff, he actively obstructed her from seeing doctors, insisted on constantly wearing the bracelet, and exercised psychological pressure. And after the plaintiff left home, he threatened her over the phone, which is documented in the audio recording." The judge turned the page, carefully studying the medical documents. "Indeed, here is a conclusion from cardiologist Dr. Mercer, stating that magnetic items are strictly contraindicated for the plaintiff with this diagnosis, and results of Holter monitoring showing episodes of heart rhythm disturbance during the period of wearing the bracelet. Mr. Vance, can you comment on this data?" Victor stood up. "I am not a doctor, Your Honor. I just wanted to help my wife. If the bracelet turned out to be harmful, it was an unintentional mistake, not an intent to cause harm. And the threats addressed to the plaintiff after she left home? The judge looked at him strictly. How do you comment on those? I was in an emotional state, Your Honor, did not want to lose my family. Perhaps I expressed myself harshly, but I did not intend to threaten seriously. Those were just words said in the heat of the moment. The judge turned on the audio recording. Victor's voice, recorded by Ada, rang out through the hall. You will regret this. Think it's so simple to leave me? I won't give you a divorce. I will fight to the end. You are my wife, and you will remain so. I can make it so you get fired from work. I can ruin your reputation. I can... The recording cut off. Silence hung in the hall. The judge continued. Mr. Vance, is that your voice? Victor paled, sweat appearing on his forehead. Yes, Your Honor, but I didn't mean... Those were just emotions. I wasn't planning to act on those words. Enough, the judge cut him off in a cold tone. I see sufficient grounds for the dissolution of the marriage. Considering the circumstances of the case, systematic psychological pressure on the plaintiff, causing harm to her health by insisting on wearing a contraindicated item, threats addressed to her, I consider the preservation of this family impossible. I'm not assigning a period for reconciliation due to the obvious impossibility of restoring family relations. The marriage between Victor Vance and Ada Vance is considered dissolved. The decision enters into force 1 month from the day of issuance. Ada felt something snap inside her, not from pain, but from relief. Huge, all-consuming relief that rolled like a wave over her entire body. She was free, officially, legally free. Victor jumped up from his seat. His face was distorted with rage. This is unfair, Your Honor. I will appeal. You cannot just destroy my family like this. You may file an appeal in accordance with the procedure established by law, the judge answered calmly, but the decision in this case is made based on the presented evidence and state laws. The hearing is adjourned. She struck the gavel on the table, and the sound rang through the hall like a final sentence. Ada walked out of the courthouse, feeling her legs carry her on their own. The sun shone brightly, blindingly. The air was warm and fresh, smelling of lilac and young leaves. Eleanor walked beside her, smiling. Congratulations, Ada. You are free. In a month, the decision will come into force, and you will receive the divorce decree. Thank you. Ada hugged her, feeling tears flowing down her cheeks. Thank you for everything. I wouldn't have made it without you. You would have. The lawyer smiled. You are a strong woman. Sometimes we just need support to realize it. A month later, when the court decision came into force, Ada received the divorce certificate. She stood by the window in the apartment she had rented a week ago, a small studio in a quiet area with a park nearby. The apartment was modest, but only she lived in it. No one controlled when she came and went. No one checked what she ate or who she talked to. No one forced her to wear something that harmed her health. Ada held the document in her hands, official proof that she was a free, independent woman, and she smiled. Life was starting anew. She returned to work in mid-June. Silas Kincaid greeted her warmly, shaking her hand firmly. Glad to see you back in the ranks, Ada. Hope you are feeling well. Yes, thank you. I am ready to work. Iris hugged her maternally. If you need anything, reach out. You know where to find me. Colleagues congratulated her on her return without asking unnecessary questions. Everyone understood she had gone through something heavy and respected her choice not to spread details. Ada busied herself with her duties again, planning meetings, coordinating departments, running conferences. Work absorbed her completely, but now it wasn't an escape from problems, but a return to her true self. She felt strength, confidence, and joy from what she was doing, returning day by day. At the end of June, something unexpected happened. Silas called her into his office and offered a promotion. Position of Vice President of Administration. Ada was stunned. I value your work, he said. You are a professional one can rely on. And after everything you went through, you became even stronger. Think about my proposal. Ada thought for 2 days and agreed. It was a new turn in her career, new opportunities, a new life. One day in early July, she was sitting on that same bench by the business center where she first met Arthur Vaughan. It was lunch break. Ada was drinking coffee from a paper cup and reading a book, enjoying the warm summer day. And suddenly, she saw a familiar figure. A man was walking down the path, leaning on a cane. "Arthur?" she called out, jumping up from the bench. He turned around, peered into her face, and smiled broadly. "Ah, the girl with the bracelet. How are you doing?" "Excellent." Ada walked up to him. "Thanks to you. You saved my life back then, and I want you to know that." He stepped closer, sat on the bench, placing his cane next to him. "I just stated the obvious, but you made the decision yourself. That is your merit, not mine." "Still, thank you." Ada sat next to him. "I got divorced, started a new life. Without the bracelet, without control, without fear. I got promoted at work, rented my own apartment. I am happy." Arthur nodded. His wrinkled face glowed with kindness. "You breathe differently now. I see it. When we met the first time, you could barely breathe. And now, freely and easily." Ada smiled. Yes, she really did breathe differently. Freely, deeply, without looking back, without fear that someone was controlling her every breath. The man stood up, leaning on his cane. "Take care of yourself, young lady. And remember, your health, your life, your choice. No one has the right to take that away from you. No one, ever." He slowly walked away down the path, and Ada watched him go, feeling warmth in her chest. It was over. The past remained behind. Ada stood up from the bench, turned around, and walked back to the office, feeling incredible lightness in her body and clarity in her thoughts. Ahead was work, new projects, plans for the future. Ahead were meetings with friends, trips, dreams she could now fulfill herself. Ahead was a life without the bracelet. The very life she chose herself, built with her own hands, which belonged only to her. If you liked my story and want to hear more, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. If you'd like to support me, you can do it through Super Thanks. It would mean a lot. In the comments, tell me which city you're watching from and what time it is, so I can see how far my story reaches. I've added 2 more life stories on the screen just for you. Click one now and let's keep spending time together. Much love. See you soon.